So maybe it's better to repeat something. Do you suggest it's better to repeat
yes,
some
please.
parts? Yes. So maybe we can speak again about Erma.
Yes. No trouble.
Yes. So I start again with this piece. This is the second piece I wrote for solo guitar, and I experienced many times. Usually, the first piece that I wrote for a solo instrument usually went out very difficult, very furious, very violent usually, and especially, I repeat, very difficult to play. And at the same time, I saw that the second that I wrote for the same instrument usually showed the other side of the page. Usually, I had very quiet pieces near to silent time, and this is what happened with Erma. It's a piece that I decided to write starting from some improvisations on guitar. I'm not a guitar player. I can't play anything on the guitar. Nothing serious. Only chords for a song by the sea. Not more than this. But very slowly, I can try something on the instrument, and this is what happened with Erma. Of course, those improvisations were only starting points. I worked on them later on the paper, in my mind. But I think that it was really important to have them as a starting point. Is a piece that is very quiet, and the most relevant thing on in the piece is a work on the resonances, on the color of the sound. Is a piece that sometimes is something like a contemplation of the sound. So many notes to play, but many sounds to listen to. I'm very happy because it's a piece that has been played by many players. So I had the opportunity to listen to it in many different versions, and this is very important for a composer. And I have to say, well, maybe other two things about the piece. Not many years later, I wrote also a version of this called Erma Velata. That is a piece for guitar and string quartet. And I think that is really interesting with the part of the guitar that is.
Now, Maestro, I would like to ask you about your duet for piccolo and guitar, Antilia.
Yes, it's another. I was asked for it by a very nice duo that I met in Conservatory in Lugano. The name of the duo is Duo Antilia. So this is the reason of this strange name of the piece. Well, it's really a short and nice. Nice. I hope that is nice. It's nice for me. I hope
it's really nice.
Nice also for the listeners. Well, it wants only to be a very brilliant piece, and of course the brilliant sound of piccolo helps in this direction. Maybe in this piece I wanted, but also in others, but in this particular, I tried clear figures, very clear gestures, and helping the listener to recognize things during the path of the piece. But I repeat, most of all, it wants to be a very brilliant and light piece. Even if at the end there is something like a veil of sadness, the piece is starting very strongly, then maybe is a little bit different in the last part of it. Well, it's another. I think that Antillia is another piece not so easy to play. A little aspect of my music is that sometimes I know it, but I can't do anything different. Is a little bit difficult to play. But of course, I try to write everything in the simplest way. But sometimes what I want to write requests heavy passages. I know it, but I think that is I can write sometime. Well, so this that Antillia is very different compared to Erma. Not the same level of difficulty. This is sure.
Then, in your opinion, Erma is very difficult in comparison with the Antillia.
The name, eh?
The Erma.
Sorry, I lost you for some seconds. Can you repeat the question?
No, I was asking you, and then in your opinion, Erma is very difficult in comparison with Antillia.
Erma is less difficult than Antillia, surely. Maybe as a different kind of difficulty. Erma, you have to work a lot, I think, on the color, on the shape of sounds, but for fingers, it's not really difficult. Antillia, and I think all the other pieces I wrote for guitar have also a lot of difficulties for fingers. You have to understand what you have to do on the fingerboards, how to survive with such an avalanche of notes to play. In Antillia, I don't want to say that is, of course, an easy piece. This is not true, but is on the technical side, I think that is one of the easiest things I wrote. That does not mean that it's really easy, but I think it's not so impossible to survive.
Yes, when I was analyzing your music, and not just the works that you wrote that you have written for guitar, but all the works that you compose are very difficult to play, but in the same time are very beautiful. Dear Master, I would like to ask you about the first piece that you have written for guitar, Memorial, or in Italian Memoriale. Could you please tell us about the story behind this piece?
Yes.
First piece?
This has been the first thing I wrote for guitar. solo guitar or a guitar in chamber music. It's absolutely the first piece I wrote. And I was asked for it by, I remember, a German player that is still living in Florence. I have almost to say he forced me to write for guitar, because maybe at the time I was not so interested, and but most of all I had a lot of fear, because it's really difficult to write for guitar. But he asked me, well, write a piece, I will play it. So I wrote it. He never played the piece because he found it too difficult. But we are still friends. He played other things of mine. So the piece found the first performance much years later. Played for the first time by Norio Sato, a great Japanese guitar player that had a lot of collaboration, for example, with Takemitsu in the past. So, incredible guitar player. He had the first performances. I remember on a Christmas day in Japan. It was a very strange performance on Christmas Day. And I was there. And the most curious it was that I was there, so I had the pictures of that strange performance with a Christmas tree. So it was a great performance. Then I worked on the piece later, trying to put out of the score some passages that was really difficult and not in a useful way. So I worked on it with another great guitar player, an Italian one, called Edoardo Dadone, that is also a very great composer now. So he helped me to have a new version that is not so different for the meaning of the piece, but some parts now are. It's possible that someone can play them. So I repeat, it's a piece that is even also now, even if I work on it, it's still very difficult. So it's been performed less than other pieces written by me. And as it's clearly the first piece written for guitar, because I put inside everything. A lot of different technical passages, a lot of things to do. So I needed after it a piece like Erma to balance everything. About something more on the piece. The name, the name is in common with a beautiful piece by Pierre Boulez. It's for flute and instruments, other kind of piece. I know it, but I want to leave in the title because it means that Memorialis usually was something written to remember something. I wrote it. I choose this title because it's related to the material that I used to as a starting point of the piece. The piece is written on a worker songs, a political songs, that is the Internazionale. And everything is taken out from the first bars of that songs. Of course, there is no direct quotation. There is nothing. Maybe it's not so easy to recognize it, but it's not important. It was important for me to start from as a tribute by myself to this this idea of equality, of peace also. And so the name of the piece is related to this starting point.